So Brock Lesnar had two storylines going on at the time when he was WWE Champion up against Eddie Guerrero for No Way Out 2004. It was with Eddie Guerrero, kind of obvious, and Goldberg. And the build with Goldberg started when they had their first encounter at, well, Survivor Series 2003 when Goldberg was World Heavyweight Champion at that time. And he met Brock Lesnar. They shook hands and whatnot. That was it. Like, everyone popped. Like, everyone wants to see that match. That was a dream match for everybody. And then months later, Brock Lesnar and Goldberg interacted again since they were on different brands. And this was a conjoined brand pay-per-view. So Brock Lesnar felt disrespected that Goldberg was getting interviewed, so he screwed him over in the Royal Rumble match, even though he was world champion, because he felt disrespected. So that led to a storyline with Goldberg that would be set up for WrestleMania. However, he still had the world title, so he had to defend that against Eddie Guerrero when he won a 13-man Battle Royale match. Eddie Guerrero had earned the right to challenge Brock Lesnar at No Way Out in a standard match. And afterwards, Lesnar and Goldberg conducted a promotional in-ring segments on respective episodes of SmackDown and Raw in which they insulted each other. And then the following week of an episode of Raw, as the result of the rivalry extending between the two programs, General Manager Steve Austin, well, the sheriff at that time, I think, as he called himself, gave Goldberg the option of attending No Way Out by giving him a front row ticket and telling him, don't do anything that I wouldn't do, which is basically do the exact opposite of what any normal person would do. And meanwhile, Eddie Guerrero and Brock Lesnar's feud extended after an in-ring interview segment when they began brawling. And this match was really important to a lot of people when the crowd was on Eddie's side and they were also chanting Goldberg because they all knew he was there. But anyways, along with that, let's see. Goldberg was at the show. Eddie Guerrero was cheered by his family and by a hot audience there. While Brock Lesnar was the heel. And this was a big deal for Eddie Guerrero because all these years of being told, oh, you can't do this, oh, you're not marketable, you're not going to be a star, you're not going to be a world champion. In early days during his early career in WWE, especially when he got fired and then he came back for a second chance. And then before that, you had his tumultuous time in WCW when things got really nasty with him and Eric Bischoff. Like, we all know how that turned out. It was the LWO controversy going on behind the scenes, the arguments that were going on between Eric Bischoff and Eddie Guerrero, and supposedly Bischoff threw coffee at Eddie, even though Eddie had claimed that, oh no, that was just an accident. He accidentally spilled it on me. Though that will always be debated by fans because Eric Bischoff at that time was an egotistical jackass. So, yeah. So anyways, this match was a pretty big deal for Eddie Guerrero after all these years, and he was finally getting this opportunity, and they had a great match. Like, Brock Lesnar used his size and advantage and actually spoke a lot more than he does nowadays, and did more moves than he did nowadays. Like, this was the first Brock Lesnar's match I've seen that was prior to his part-time status, before he left, like, for a long time now. And I honestly would pay to see the old Brock Lesnar, the guy that worked full-time, the guy that did more than just German suplexes and knees to the gut and to the turnbuckle and then an F5. So, yeah, Brock Lesnar did a variety of suplexes, did some high-flying maneuvers, like CM Punk's knee to the jaw that he did, like Brock Lesnar did that back then. So, it was so exciting to see that. Like, I was like, man, Brock Lesnar needs to do more moves. I hope he does it when he fights Goldberg at Survivor Series. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm making this video, is to pretty much promote Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar by talking about this, but I'm also wanted to talk about this match for a bit. So, Eddie Guerrero decided to take out the legs of the Beast Incarnate and as he continued, he managed to get some maneuvers out, and along with that, the commentary, I gotta add, was really, invested in this match. Like, Michael Cole wasn't as horrible as he was now. Taz was actually caring about this feud. And even when he was the heel commentator, he would actually cheer for the good guys because he actually liked their dedication and spirit. And that could be because Paul Heyman actually knew what he was doing on SmackDown, and Vince McMahon hated that. I don't get that. I really don't. So, anyways, this match went on for 30 minutes and 7 seconds, and Goldberg came out, speared Brock Lesnar when Brock Lesnar was about to use the title to cheat his way out of losing after the referee got knocked out after an F5 attempt, which failed because Eddie Guerrero kicked out. And along with that, Eddie Guerrero would capitalize on Brock Lesnar being speared by Goldberg because we all knew that was going to happen by going for the cover, and he kicked out. Like, I was like, if this was done today, I'm pretty sure they would have just done that. Like, they wouldn't let Brock Lesnar still go at it. If this was John Cena, then that would be a different story. But they would have just stuck to that unless it was John Cena or Brock Lesnar or any part-timer or The Undertaker. Yeah, relatively just The Undertaker, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar. They were given special treatment because, well, John Cena's the face that runs the place, Brock Lesnar's a part-timer, and Undertaker's a semi-active wrestler. So, yeah. So, after Goldberg left, Eddie Guerrero managed to capitalize, and while he failed to get the pinfall over Brock Lesnar, Brock Lesnar looked like he was going to get the victory when an F5 attempt. However, Eddie Guerrero did an impressive avoiding of it. Like, numerous times, like when Brock Lesnar tried to F5 him, Eddie Guerrero would do his head scissors maneuver, which was awesome. Like, even when he bulked up and whatnot, he still did some of his old cruiserweight maneuvers. So yeah, like, if he could do that, then John Cena should like do some high flying maneuvers in order to at least be interesting with his repetitive moveset. But I'm not really complaining about that. I've discussed this on Bleacher Report. Like I said, I don't care if a wrestler repeats his moves over and over and over again, so long as it does a great match. Like, I could understand why they don't do that. Like, I somewhat do, but at the same time, I do like it when they do something different every once in a while. So, in order to avoid overstaling itself. So, yeah. So, after Lesnar countered Guerrero with Lesnar tried to counter Eddie Guerrero's and regain the momentum with an F5. He countered with a DDT on the title belt because he failed to hit Brock Lesnar with that belt because he caught him. And Guerrero kicked the belt out of the ring to prevent the referee from seeing it and performed his frog splash to pin Lesnar and ultimately win the WWE Championship from him. And it was an emotional moment for Eddie. Like, he went and embraced the crowd. He went and embraced his family because even though he was born in Texas and built from, what was it again? He was built from, well, Texas. Texas. He ultimately stayed in California a lot, and the fans really love him there. And I like it when the crowd is on fire. And this was back then when the crowd was always on fire. They never took a break. Like, even the worst match would get some big reception. That just made it look more bearable. But moving on. Brock Lesnar was pissed afterwards. Like, he lost. Like, they could have done a rematch on SmackDown, but they never did. Like, there was less than a month away till WrestleMania, so they couldn't really do another pay-per-view. And even if they did, it would have been Raw's next pay-per-view. So, yeah, they had to not do that match. I would have been interested if they did another match between those two. And there was one uncomfortable moment when I look at it now, is when Brock Lesnar screams, "Just die," and I'm thinking, wow, I'm pretty sure Brock Lesnar wishes he could take that comment back, considering what happened a year later. So, yeah. And this would ultimately be the straw that broke the camel's back for Brock Lesnar and Goldberg for their eventual fight at WrestleMania, which I'll get to in another video. And I'll just say we all know how that turned out. And Eddie Guerrero would move on to fight Kurt Angle, which I will also talk about in a later date. But this match was just great. Like, if I could think about it, besides the cheating maneuvers that he did and the outside interference, I'm pretty sure this would have been what Daniel Bryan would have dreamed of between him and Brock Lesnar. Because Daniel Bryan always wanted to fight Brock Lesnar, and if it was before neck surgery and before his neck was starting to show his injuries, I would have been all for that match. But afterwards, I was like, no, Bryan, I know you want this match. I know you want it, but even WWE should know that this will kill you because they have an injury fetish problem. So, do yourself a favor and not do that match. I still say the ladder match was a stupid idea, but going into a ladder match was stupid, but like, Brock Lesnar, it's Brock Lesnar. And WWE's injury fetish has a problem here. So, yeah, I don't think you should do that. So Eddie Guerrero, that was his only world championship, which was sad. Like, they were going to give him the World Heavyweight Championship back in 2005 and before his death. Tragic, sad. Like, they were going to give him the World Heavyweight Championship like a week after he had died. Like, they wanted to had he still lived. Because Batista was injured at the time, and then word was going around that this was going to be part of a big build for Eddie Guerrero to defend the World Heavyweight Championship. I think he was still at that time against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 22, which would have been awesome. I guarantee that match would have been legendary. Sadly, that never happened. But at least he finally did win the big one and was allowed to be the face of the company for at least a short time. Albeit, at least it was better than not having that opportunity. But it was probably it is an awesome match. You should check it out on the WWE Network. It's a emotional moment for Eddie. Like, even though he was the face, even though he acted like a heel, he was still a good guy in this feud because Brock Lesnar was let's just face it, he was an asshole in this feud. Not in real life, but you get what I'm saying. So, yeah, there's one more thing I want to say. If this match was done today, if this was done in modern WWE style, Brock Lesnar would just do his 4 repetitive moveset to the point, like, it's not even fair. Like, they would have given Brock Lesnar the belt because, oh, you're a part-timer, therefore you get special privileges. So, yeah. So, along with that, let's see, I went from Eddie Guerrero feuding with Kurt Angle, Brock Lesnar fighting Goldberg, and then ultimately leaving. I'll also talk about that in the Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar round 1 match. But this was an enjoyable match. I really did wish they did a sequel to this match on SmackDown at least, because I still have that mentality, like they would have done a rematch clause, especially when a match was done so well, like they would do it again on free television. So, it was sad that they never did another match, as far as I know. Like, I could be horribly wrong, and they did do another match on SmackDown, but I don't recall that because I would have known if Goldberg screwed Brock Lesnar again, because they never really talk about that if they did that again. So I could be wrong, and if I am, I will take back what I said. If I make a sequel to that video, because I haven't watched the show, I never watched Raw at this time. I didn't watch Raw or SmackDown at this time. I was on a hiatus until like 2005. Because John Cena, believe it or not, brought me back to that product and a lot of other factors. But, yeah, it was an enjoyable match. Like, I really had wished they did a sequel to this match I didn't care if it was free television. I would still complain, but ultimately, because it was free television and they just gave that away. But considering that between WrestleMania and No Way Out, there's no room for another pay-per-view, and it would have been to Raw, I can understand. Well, everyone, this was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.